As you guys know, we have a Nissan R32 Skyline off for paint right now that we're restoring from the ground up. Oh, good. No way. Since then, we have sent it off for paint and we haven't had a car to work on in the garage. So I bought another Nissan R32 Skyline. Every single morning, my friend Zach sends me a car on Facebook Marketplace. And this morning was no exception. He sent me this R32 Skyline listed for $15,000. However, because I own one and have been watching the market, this one in its current state was not worth 15 grand. Cars like this don't get listed often for this cheap. So if I hadn't offered money, it probably would have sold that night. So just to confirm that the car was okay, I decided to give him a ring and found out that the rear quarter glass wasn't able to seal because there was a dent in the quarter panel. So I offered him 10 grand and he said, yes, come pick it up tonight. So we got the trailer, got the cash, and headed to the other side of the city.
The part that Rex isn't telling you guys is that he basically bought his Skyline for almost as much as he's buying this one for. Yep. And Lachlan paid the exact same amount as Rex is about to pay now. But both of those R32s don't have compliance, but this one does.
All right, guys, we are about 5 minutes away from the location. We're looking for a Skyline now. Where is it? Where is it? Can you see it, Peter?
No.
And there it was, another R32 Skyline. Not long after arriving, we were greeted by EJ and his dad. All right, so here it is, guys. Here's the R32 Skyline. The owner is right here. Do you want to come in? He said that we could film because he actually knows who I am and he knows Mark 180, which is pretty cool. What's your name?
EJ.
And EJ told me there was a bit of a story with this Skyline and it was actually owned by one of his mates. However, while his mate owned it, it was stolen and then vandalized. So EJ had been fixing it over the past few years. The first thing you should look out for on any old car is rust. We made sure to look under the car.
It does look really clean, man.
And under the bonnet, and on this Skyline, both checked out good. It had a complete interior and was easily the biggest win of this purchase. However, after opening the boot, here's where the problems began.
Bro, the tank's in half, man. Yeah.
The fuel tank was cut in half and placed in the boot.
Yeah, all you gotta do is literally weld them back together, bro.
Anyway, everything else checked out on the car, so we loaded it onto the trailer and brought it home.
Holy shit. What the hell?
Right behind me is another R32 Nissan Skyline. After trailering the car all the way from the other side of the city, we finally have it home, and here it is, guys. Another R32 Skyline, baby. Have a look at this. This is the best part about this R32 Skyline. It has a full interior in this thing. Even like this piece right here for the radio surround, it's fully intact, which is super rare. Usually they're broken because people try to remove them and they're old plastics. Bonus as well, look at this. The dash is entirely free of cracks. It even has a GTR footrest. GTR footrest, baby. It even has a GTR front bumper, a genuine GTR front bumper, which is pretty cool. The reason why I got the guy down to 10 grand was because of the dents on this quarter and the glass not being here. We're going to have to, you know, pull the body back to shape because there is still a massive gap between the glass and the body. Anyway, let's get a reaction from some of the boys and try to get this thing started for the very first time.
Another one. Another one.
Another one.
I'll buy it off you.
What do you think, bro?
Pretty good.
Damn, it's got carpets in it.
Oh, damn.
Bro, did you get a GTR? Holy.
Ow,
Everything.
Nismo, man. GTR, Nismo.
It's just chopped and chilling.
Check this out. The Skyline came with 4 keys and I've already put a jet tag on there. Trust the process. These are available now at benkyspec.com. Go grab one. There's only a few of them left. And guys, I'm also wearing this t-shirt, acid wash t-shirt. These things are very breathable. These are available from sizes small to 3XL. If you want to grab one of these, head over to benkyspec.com. Let's start taking all this junk out of the boot. See what we got. The boot was filled to the brim with car parts that we would need to start this car. We pulled out a stock airbox, one half of an R32 fuel tank, the other half of an R32 fuel tank. Oh, this is gonna be very hard for me to weld. I actually can't believe that they chopped it in half. There was also a brand new clutch master cylinder in there as the clutch is currently on the floor. We also found some bolts in a bottle, some ratchet straps, and various other little things. We have all the pieces in the boot to put the car back together and get it running. That's what finally sold me and made me hand over the cash, knowing that we literally have Like even the fuel pump and the fuel hat all there, and I don't have to source any of that stuff. If I had to source that stuff, look, I probably wouldn't have bought the car. It looks like the previous owner or the person that repaired this tank has cut out the baffles, and that's kind of concerning because, you know, if we're going around a corner or drifting this car, the fuel is going to slosh to one side, and if the fuel doesn't stay at the fuel pump, we can run lean and we can blow the motor. I'm going to be transparent with you guys, and we're just going to weld it back together, put some fuel in, and hope for the best. I wanted to see if this 30-year-old engine would run and fire on all 6 nicely, so I got straight to cleaning and prepping the areas I needed to weld with a wire wheel attached to a drill.
It's harder when you
I managed to get it looking pretty good, so we began welding, and we soon discovered that the tank had been warped potentially after being cut, which made this job 10 times more difficult. I especially needed an extra pair of hands here. Anyway, we pushed through, and I managed to somehow weld a 30-year-old fuel tank that had been cut in half back together. Okay, we are done welding the tank now. It's been a few hours and we're gonna test it with water. Now, we probably shouldn't be using water to be testing a metal fuel tank, but screw it, I don't know what else to use. Here's the tank, it's looking pretty decent. There's the welds, they're looking pretty average. But yeah, we're gonna fill it up to where the weld stops and then hopefully it doesn't leak. If it leaks here, it's not the end of the world, but it's going to cause a little bit of inconvenience because I'm going to have to wait for the tank to dry and then weld it up again. All right, here we go, guys. Moment of truth. Not the most ideal thing in the world, but that's okay. I got back on the welder and fixed up these little leaks. Well, far from ideal. Looks like the tank is leaking, but that's okay. We're just gonna mark up the spots now and then re-weld them, but about 3 or 4 leaks, which is not bad considering the entire fuel tank was cut in half. Not bad, not bad. So we are so lucky, great success. The fuel tank does not leak anything whatsoever. We're just not going to be able to pressure test it because I know a little bit of pressure happens in the tank. We're just going to have to find out when we fill it up with petrol and drive it, I guess. But we're just going to start painting this thing now. Got some self-etching primer and we're going to restore this fuel tank and hopefully it's all good. So it was time for paint. I started off by prepping the surface with some alcohol and then I used this self-etching primer that I just bought from Bunnings. Made sure to get everywhere, made sure to do a few coats as well, then painted everything with top coat and then clear coat. The fuel tank came out spectacular, and then we had a special guest appear. So I've invited over a special guest.
Yo!
What's going on, bro?
What is going on, brother?
All the
Good
way
to see
from
you
Perth,
again.
man.
Yeah, so every time I'm in Melbourne,
Yep.
gotta see the man.
Now you're here to work in the Skyline.
New Skyline
What do you
content,
think?
bro.
What do you think?
Bro, this one actually looks pretty usable to clean up.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I did see the other one like early on too, and I was sort of like,
He's like,
whoa.
what are you doing?
But you're making it work, and like I'm keen to see it, man. It's gonna be painted
Appreciate
good,
it, man.
bro.
Well, we're going to give you a challenge today. You're going to be installing all the intercooler pipes. So, good luck.
I'm not a mechanic, but we'll give it a go.
Oh yeah. Like I said, everything that we need to get this car running is already in the car. Just like the tank, everything in the engine bay is right there, just not installed. So I've given Johnny, aka Ross Reviews, go check him out on YouTube, the job of installing all the cooler pipes correctly because these cars are very sensitive to the cooler pipes in order to run. We got all the pipes here, it looks like.
It's just
The
like
previous
a puzzle.
owners just like left them all here, so.
Yeah, it's a jigsaw game, so we'll figure it out.
Like this one looks like it goes there.
Something like that.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, something like that. Oh yeah, this one. What the? How many pipes do we have in here, bro? That's solid. That's solid. That's solid. I will figure it out.
It was a little bit trickier than we thought, so we both tackled it. Johnny cleaned up the turbo pipe, and we got basically most of it sorted. Alright guys, well, we have seemed to figure out most of the intercooler pipes. However, we are missing a little piece for the pod filter MAF area. So, do you want to show them what's going on here? Why we can't fit the MAF on?
Something has been chopped. I think for dose activities. Yeah, that's going to have to somehow should be down here, and yeah, it's still a bit tight, so Rex is going to have to do some adapting with that. Adapting activities. But it's getting there. It's pretty much Yeah.
It's looking pretty
A
decent.
little bit of tweaking.
Yep.
Yeah.
We connected up the rest of the intercooler pipes and vacuum hoses. Again, thank you to Johnny, always coming to visit me when he's in Melbourne. We connected as much up as we could, and it looked pretty finished when we were done. Now let's get back to fixing the fuel tank. The next thing I needed to do was install the fuel pump into the fuel tank. And guys, here is why you have to be really careful when buying a project car of somebody else. If I hadn't done this before, I wouldn't have spotted this, but this could have been really bad. From factory, there is a fitting that passes through the top hat. This allows the wires to go through the top hat, powering the fuel pump and things like the fuel level sensor. Now the factory fitting wasn't actually there. Someone has gone and installed bulkhead fittings which essentially do the same thing but allow more current to pass through for running things like a bigger fuel pump. Now upon further inspection, these bulkhead fittings were not installed correctly. If not done right, there could be a short between the top hat and the wires going to the fuel pump. And as you guys know, you don't want any sort of electricity around fuel. That could be very bad. Because I've installed bulkhead fittings before on my other cars, I knew that the plastic fitting had to actually sit inside the hole, and these factory holes aren't big enough for these bulkhead fittings. And as you can see on the instruction sheet here, it says that the holes need to be 8.1 millimeters in diameter. You can see that there is a slight gap in between the plastic fitting and the top hat. That means it's not going to seal. Luckily I spotted this, so I drilled out the hole to 8.1 millimeters. I installed all bulkhead fittings correctly, and finally we were able to install the fuel pump and top hat into the tank. Okay, that was a little bit of a nightmare, but we figured it all out and we have the tank fully assembled now, ready to be installed in the car. As you can see, the fuel hat is on, all the bolts have been tightened, and we've also got the fuel filler neck all installed as well. Bit of a pain to install this because this hose puts pressure on the whole thing and tilts everything on an angle. Yeah, everything's ready to go. Hopefully it seals up with the O-rings that were in the boot. I'm gonna chuck it in, fill it up with some petrol, and hopefully try to start the thing soon. I don't know. Let's install this tank. It's funny because the other R32 Skyline project started off with the fuel tank, and here we are installing another fuel tank. So I'll try not to bore you, but we started by taking off the wheel, releasing the straps. Luckily everything was there, like everything else in the car. I moved the tank underneath the car with the jacked it up, installed the fuel filler neck. What was interesting was there was this trim that hides the fuel filler neck and also protects it, and I actually don't have that on the other Skyline. I plugged up the fuel wires, finished off the wiring, connected the plug, and it was basically time to start the car. We have the fuel tank fully installed now. We're just missing a few trim pieces, but I thought now would be a great time to test and see once and for all if the tank that was cut in half and welded back together by me is going to hold petrol and not leak. As you know, we already tested it with water. Something could have happened in the time that I painted it and installed it. Something could have cracked, I don't know, but we're gonna chuck some fuel in there. I am hella nervous, hella nervous. Here goes nothing. Okay, I think we are good so far. There's 20 liters of petrol in the tank and there are no leaks. Okay, with the fuel tank now installed, we basically have everything ready to start the car. There's only a few things actually that we need to do. So we discovered this when we bought the car actually, and we saw this little hole in the fuse box right there. Someone has just bridged the main power fuse. Now because we have a bunch of R32s in the group, I've obviously got my other one getting painted, and Lachlan has his one out in front of his house. We have spare fuses for days. So Lachlan has taken out the fuses of his car and bricked his car. I'm a little bit worried because there might have been a reason for why they decided to bridge the main power wire. So we might potentially just end up popping this fuse and I'll have to source another one, which is apparently pretty hard. I installed the 75 amp main fuse and the 25 amp fuse for something else. And then we got a battery from my daily. For one car to live, one car has to die, and that's the Camry. I removed the battery from my Toyota Camry, installed it into the R32 Skyline, and here goes nothing. Okay, we have a light. Look at this. Dome light is on. Hell yeah. Can you see that? Dome light is on, okay. Make sure it's in neutral. Okay, we have a noise. Ignition 1. Oh. It's not letting me turn the barrel, hang on. Oh, okay. I think I just heard the fuel pump prime or something like that. I don't even know if I've got it connected up. Oh wait, oh, I don't. Okay, plug it in. Fuel pump connected. Okay, we're gonna put ignition 2 on. We've got lights. Whoa. Holy, look at the light. Look at down there, bro. We got mood lighting, dude. High beams. It's like stuck on high beams.
Turn it.
Oh! I just wanted to see if it was gonna run the starter for a second. No way, Peter.
Send it.
Oh, I don't think the fuel pump's yeah, the fuel pump's not priming. It's getting no fuel.
No,
I'm not hearing the fuel pump at all.
no, neither.
And after all that, unfortunately, the car did not start. Over the next couple minutes, we tried to start it again with a little bit of throttle input, but the car just did not want to turn on. We suspected that it was having a fuel problem because we couldn't hear the fuel pump priming in the back.
Let's set off the market alarm. Wait, do
Why
it
does
again.
it sound, something sounds off?
There could be no fuel as well. Now that sounds like a compression test to me when one of the spark plugs is out.
Yeah, it does sound like one of the spark plugs is out, doesn't it? Because we couldn't hear the fuel pump priming, we started there, and I applied direct power to the fuel pump in the boot. The pump might be dead. Unfortunately, there was still no sound from the fuel pump, so we decided to take out the fuel pump and test it again outside of the car. I risked it with the old pump that was left in there from the previous owner, and unfortunately, the risk didn't pay off because we are now pulling out the pump. Oh, they're connected. And the spark's going off, but nothing's happening. I think the fuel pump's dead. God damn it. Looks like we're gonna have to get another fuel pump before we try to start the car. We didn't give up here. There was one more thing that we could do to try get the car running just for a little bit to see if the motor was okay. So we used starter fluid. We're gonna use starter fluid because we don't have petrol coming from the fuel tank. Peter's gonna simulate our fuel tank. We're gonna spray that and I'm gonna crank it and we'll see if the engine even fires. It's a fuel problem there. Well, looks like we're gonna have to replace the spark plugs anyway because it's been sitting for a while, and the fuel pump. Well, there you go, guys. This is what happens when you buy a stolen R32 Skyline. It is what it is. We're gonna try to get this thing started for the next video. We don't know if the engine's okay as well, so we still have to deal with that. And I also have a lot of explaining to do on why I actually own this thing. Now, I know a lot of you would have subscribed to my channel for the other R32 Skyline, but don't worry, have no fear. It will be in the next video, promise you. That thing is looking insane right now. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you all in the next one. Catch you later. My life, man. I'll just like speak like it's mostly gonna be B-roll.
I just can't deny.
There's no fuel tank.
It's time for me to straighten things out.
So we go to another whole video again and me running across the garage. We're starting for the first time. Same car.